Good morning, Dr. Kiltz.
Lisa, good morning. A beautiful day, huh?
It absolutely is.
And good morning, everyone. A beautiful day.
We had a fantastic webinar last month with over 100 questions, and as I'm weeding through, I noticed a few patterns, and a couple clients are really interested in PGD. I think there's a lot more awareness out there in PGD, PGS, and one client in particular was wondering whether we can use PGD to screen for Down syndrome and autism, and then another client was wondering whether PGD would harm the embryo since we are removing a cell.
Boy, these are all good questions, and the data is still being worked out. We've been using new technology for only a short amount of time, and we're really pushing it. I still wonder whether or not it has the benefits that we think it does. Interesting enough, one of my friends recently had PGS with a number of embryos, and they were all listed as abnormal. He was surprised and had them retested and found out that many of them were normal. They transferred some of those abnormal embryos from the first lab, a reputable lab, one we all use, and come to find out that it was wrong. He has a beautiful little girl, and how wonderful it is.
Absolutely.
And so the testing is imperfect. It can be used, and it's being used. It may be touted as being better than we think it is. I personally think we may be harming some embryos. We may be discarding some embryos that otherwise would become healthy babies. And sometimes you have to leave nature the ability to define and do what it has been doing for infinity.
Absolutely.
And so it's great techniques and technology that we utilize. I don't think it's capable of identifying autism or selecting that out. Certainly for Down syndrome, it may be helpful. But whether or not we should be purposely selecting out these things, I'm very concerned and have some questions regarding our modern methods in medicine. We were just down in Washington, D.C. at the Resolve Advocacy Day on Tuesday, Wednesday. Really amazing. Really met some wonderful people from around the country in support of IVF coverage for veterans and a tax credit for adoption. And I really encourage everyone to write your state representatives, your Senate and House representatives, and encourage everyone to support, one, our veterans. Those that are injured in our military service deserve the very best care. And why IVF or any fertility care would not be covered, it just doesn't, it's not understandable to me. We at See My Fertility have made a commitment for all injured vets in service. Those are injured in service will get free IVF if they do not have the coverage. And we're working right now on obtaining medication coverage. You got to be open to all options. And we're really moving to make IVF and infertility more affordable and accessible than is out there. I'm really concerned that there's a drive simply to send IVF to certain centers over others without any evidence of superiority.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for advocating for our veterans, especially with Memorial Day coming up. It's wonderful to remind folks that we are here. We do provide sperm sample freezing before our veterans are going off to war, which is also another important aspect to think about. So we are always open. We are lucky to be located close to Fort Drum, and we work with many of our military families through Fort Drum and all over the world. So keep us in mind.
Well, CNY, although we're in upstate New York, Albany, Syracuse, Rochester, and Buffalo, New York, we see clients from around the world, and many are even collecting a sample, putting it in a sealed container, overnight shipping those samples, and the samples freeze wonderful, and they are quite capable of creating a pregnancy at later times if necessary. Little insurance policies are available. And so there's so many options when it comes to fertility. One of the things that we're working on is that fertility care is not just IVF. And everyone has to begin to open up that natural methods need to be looked at first. I was at a conference last night regarding cord blood banking and the use of cord blood And cord blood infusions may actually have some value in infertility,
Interesting.
since we know that most infertility, all infertility in general, has an immunologic foundation as a cause.
Absolutely.
If we can reduce inflammation in our bodies, that's where natural fertility is going to happen more and more. So we've got to work on that first. And some of these new techniques, such as cord blood infusions, may be the next step in helping those that have had difficulties with childbearing.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for all of your advocacy and information. We have another webinar coming up Tuesday, May 24th at 6 p.m. We'll be giving away another IVF cycle as well and taking as many questions as we can. So please keep sending your questions in. Share with us any new information you have, any new ideas. We are always open to growing and to expanding our options.
God bless and thank you very much. Enjoy the day.
Have a great week.